Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. I'm your host, Gabriel Garcia. Many of you know me as the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill. And joining us back on the show is a Wandering Scribe alumni. Now, this individual is an amazing, funny, all around cool person. I worked with her before and I'm working with her again on a special project, which I am very excited to announce later this year. She's an incredible narrator. She's all around an amazing person. You've heard her voice across all social media. You've seen her tag with so many amazing fellow authors and fellow creatives alike. So I'm very, very excited to have her back here on the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us give a huge round of applause to our returning Wandering Scribe alumni, Hel. Hel, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be back. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, Hel. Awesome. I'm so excited to have you back on the show for a very special episode, which is going to be very different from my standard interviews. Now, Hel, before we dive into this very special episode we'll be working on together, would you like to give an update for our viewers and listeners of what you've been up to since the last time you were on the show? Which, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's been maybe almost like what, a year or two since you were
I
last on the show?
so it's been a while. It's been a while. But there's been a lot of fun since then. I became a full-time narrator, not by choice, but definitely that's something I'm mad about and something I'm still definitely pursuing, especially because it's a big passion of mine. But more recently, some things I've been working on is like just this month alone, I have a shifter romance that I'm working on, a small town country romance that I'm also working on, your short stories, and a sapphic kind of magical cozy romance as well. That's hopefully within this month and next month you'll see them come out. And on top of that, I'm donning my cat god shirt, which is I'm part of Punch and Roll, the Punch and Roll show, which is our TT D&D podcast, TTRPG podcast. We did a live performance, a live game session in Indiana Comic-Con at FanX, which is an amazing experience. And we were invited to go to Dragon Con, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can go to Dragon Con as well to play.
Nice. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also been a few other narrators that have been on Punch and Roll, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Punch and Roll was started by audiobook narrators. So the main game hosts Ethan Gray, Zach
Mm-hmm.
Rosenfeld, Aaron Smith, Cleo Birch, Rhodey, Tegan,
Mm-hmm.
Burke, I'm trying to think, and Sarah Dawn. I think that's everyone.
And I think
And if
Is Amber also part of it too?
Amber is in a different game with me, where it's a different campaign called Rapture
Okay.
Hearts. So Amber is in a different game with me, and that one also the other narrators in that one as well is Steph Gillette. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher his name. Steph. I'm sorry, Steph, if you're listening to this. Steph Godleski. God, I'm sorry. He's also an amazing narrator. I love him. He's got amazing range and talent, and they're both amazing people to get to play with. That one also has Celeste Vong, Click Clack Snack or Serenity Dubois or Seren Dubois, and Noah J. Bryan. All voice actors, all actors, all just incredibly and Ethan Gray is also the game master for that one. Just amazing, amazing people that I get to hang out with and play with. There's a new game coming out called Send Nerds.
Ooh.
And that one is actually being led by our very own epic voice, Aaron Smith from the main game. So that one's going to be a ton of fun. It hasn't started yet, and I think they're picking out their cast. So we're adding more games here. We're a bunch of nerdy people that just want to have fun and play together.
That's amazing, Hell. That is amazing. And I think I may have been seeing some of your episodes on Instagram as well, especially you with Tegan, Ethan, and everybody. You guys have like so much fun. I imagine when you guys get into character, you guys get like so like involved. And I'm just waiting for the day where there's someone in like the chat or either on like on Instagram or someone who writes a comment who's an animator and just animates one of your guys' segments, because I would be laughing so hard. I imagine you guys too, of just the antics you're doing
Oh
of
my
the
god.
characters.
It would be amazing. I'm in conversation with an animator. I know their schedule is really full, but that is someone that we would really love to, like, collaborate with because there are a ton of fun, like, snippets, fun and funny snippets that we'd love to see animated, but, like, none of us currently have the skills and or the bandwidth to do it, so we would love if we could, like, collaborate with an animator to do that, it would be tons of fun.
Nice, awesome. Well, you're the first animators in the call. If you want to flex your skills, reach out to Hell and watch
Yeah.
through their guys' content and do what you have to do, because I would love to see that. I would absolutely love to see that unfold. And that kind of ties into today's episode a little bit, because viewers and listeners, today's going to be a very different episode than what you typically have seen before. Instead of a author interview, narrator interview, or writer's hub episode, or even a historian's lounge episode, in this special collaborative episode, me and Hel are going to be in a recording booth, in a manner of speaking, where we'll be recording some little snippets on this episode as a way for you to see what goes into the behind the scenes of you could say, an average day in the office. Now, be warned, I am not a narrator. I do not have the training or the mic. So be fair in the comments. So yeah, this is a little fun little episode that me and Hel be doing. We're going to be reading a few chapters from each of my books, beginning with my most recent one, Decimus, the Wolf of Rome. Now, I don't want to give too many spoilers for the book, but this chapter that me and Hel will be reading together is very early on in the books, which is a pinnacle moment in the story. Now, Hel will be voicing one of the female leads, Flavia, the wife of Decimus. I will be voicing Decimus, Justinian, and Alexios. Now, be kind to us. It is something completely new, so there's going to be a little hiccups in the beginning. So it's like this, completely raw and unedited.
Yeah, and we're
So,
cold reading this too. We didn't, like, practice in advance.
yes, absolutely. We are cold reading this, but it's going to be fun all around. So, without further ado, let us dive in. How much farther? Decimus shouted, his voice laced with a mixture of impatience and concern, echoing across the undulating, luscious landscape. Just a bit more, less than a mile, Alexios replied, pulling on the reins of his chestnut stallion as he urged it forward. The four of them, Decimus, Alexios, Flavia, and their son Justinian, had been riding tirelessly through the sun-drenched Roman countryside for nearly 3 days, meticulously avoiding the eyes of imperial patrols and skirting the well-traveled routes. They were nearing the safety of their settlement in Cisalpine Gaul, a sanctuary they longed to return to after their harrowing journey. As they rode, Decimus glanced at Flavia, noticing the strain etched across her delicate features. Her pale skin glistened with fatigue, and her labored breath betrayed the toll the relentless ride was exacting on her. The worry clawed at him. How are you holding up, love? He asked, leaning closer as they navigated through the wildflowers, their vibrant colors contrasting starkly with the tension in the air.
I'm fine. Just tired.
She replied, attempting a reassuring smile that wavered like a flame caught in the wind. No more than fine, Flavia. You need to conserve your strength, he said gently, his heart heavy. Just then their son Justinian leaned forward, his innocent eyes wide with concern. Mother, are you okay? The young boy queried, his voice barely more than a whisper. Flavia met his gaze, her eyes glistening with love.
I'm all right, my sweet. Just a little worn out from our venture. But we'll be home soon, and then we can eat that honey cake you love.
She assured him, her voice filled with warmth. Decimus felt a pang at the thought. Home, a place where laughter and love waited for them. As he continued forward, Flavia suddenly gasped, her face paling.
Decimus.
She managed, her breath hitching. Do not speak, my love. Save your strength, he urged, though fear was beginning to throttle his words. We're almost there. He didn't dare to say it aloud. That they might not make it. Just as they approached a vast sunlit clearing framed by wildflowers and swaying grasses, Flavia slumped from her horse, collapsing onto the ground with a sickening thud. Flavia! Decimus shouted, adrenaline surging through him as he leapt off his mount, dread clawing at his gut. His frantic shout drew the attention of Alexios and Justinian, who had been struggling against their exhaustion. Mother! Justinian cried out, his voice trembling with fear as he scrambled to the ground.
I can't go on, Decimus.
Flavia gasped, her voice barely a whisper, fragile as the evening breeze. Decimus rushed to her side, lifting her into his arms, but she felt like a feather, too light, too limp. Just hang on. We're almost there, he urged, his heart pounding like a drum. Just a few more steps, love. Remember our home. Flavia's eyes fluttered, her breath coming shallow and strained.
He needs you.
She murmured, her gaze drifting to Justinian, wide-eyed and frozen in fear. He needs both of us, Decimus insisted, desperation flooding his voice as he fought to maintain his grip on her. Flavia, no, please, don't leave us. Tears streamed down his face, and he felt the weight of the moment crashing down around him.
Promise me you'll tell him how we met and how you always knew how to make me laugh.
She whispered, urgency in her voice. I promise, he said, though the weight of her request threatened to shatter him. I'll always be here for him, I swear.
But you must be strong for our son now. He needs a father who can protect him, who can reassure him.
Flavia's hand trembled as she reached for Justinian, who inched closer. Confusion and fear etched across his small face.
Justinian, sweetheart, listen to your father. He will take care of you when I cannot.
The boy's gaze darted between his mother and his father, uncertainty in his eyes. But you can't leave, Mother, he whimpered, tears brimming as he clutched a fistful of his horse's mane. Flavia's gaze softened.
You are so brave, my little warrior. Remember that strength is not just in the sword, but in the love we share.
She met Decimus's eyes, and in that moment, they shared everything. Love, fear, regret, and an unbreakable bond. Flavia, Decimus choked, feeling her slipping away. With trembling hands, she drew his dagger from his ornate sheath, its blade glinting in the fading light. I can't,
You must.
she breathed, wearing a serene expression that implied acceptance.
For him. Please, make it quick. I will always be with you.
In a clash of sorrow and resolve, Decimus nodded, squeezing her hand tightly. He positioned the dagger over her heart, their eyes locking in an unbreakable moment as agony etched deeper into his soul. The weight of her love, her sacrifice, everything they had shared hung in the air. And then And that final heartbeat, with tears streaming down his face, he plunged the blade into her heart. Flavia let out a soft gasp, her warmth fading away, leaving him with a gaping void in his soul. Overcome with anguish, Decimus cradled her face in his hands, whispering sweet nothings, a litany of memories, hopes, and dreams shared. Rest in peace, my love, he murmured, his voice breaking as he gazed upon the woman who had filled his life with joy. He felt Justinian's small hand tugging at his sleeve, the boy's voice trembling with confusion and fear. Father, why did you? Justinian's words shattered like glass, raw and bewildered, pain emanating from them. It was the only way, Decimus replied, his heart aching at the sight of his son. Justinian, I know this is all hard to understand, but I promise I'll. But Justinian turned away, his tears falling freely as he clutched the memories of his mother close to his heart. The boy's world had just shattered, and Decimus was left grappling with his own grief, vowing silently to protect what remained of their family. With a heavy heart, he whispered once more into the fading light, I will not let you down, Flavia. And scene. Holy mackerel. That was definitely quite quite the scene, Hel, and bravo.
What a
Bravo.
first scene to pick.
That oh my gosh, just now hearing your voice. Oh, you are so good.
Thank you.
Man,
I was like, I was starting to get choked up too, thinking a bit about like, oh my god, like, cause I have a child, I have a daughter, and just thinking about like, oh, it's one of my biggest fears in the world is like having to leave her. Oh,
oh man, but you really did nail that, like really, really good. And even like you said, this was a cold read. So I guess now here's a little few questions before we go into like our next read. When it comes to like conveying emotions, how do you get into like that headspace, depending on
mhm.
if it's like an emotional scene like this we just read, or maybe it's another emotion like anger or rage or even
Mm,
like
mhm.
envy?
So for me, it's like two-part because I think the easiest way that a lot of, people convey emotions through their acting is to put themselves in the shoes of that character. Think about a time where I felt loss. Think about a time where I felt rage and anger, and just recalling what that felt like and how my body kind of, how it felt in my body, because physically being able to act it out is also makes the acting that much more powerful. If I'm able to move around, which is like, I'm confined to whatever space, but like being able to move around and putting it in your body really helps make it the audience able to hear it in the voice. That's one part of it. But the other part of it that I remember hearing about and loving is the whole concept of really imagine everything in
Mm,
your head, like, really play out the scene in your head. What does it look like? What w like, not just of, like, the interactions of what the characters look like and how they're doing it, but, like, imagine the space. Where are they? And I'm imagining, like, they're on a barren road with maybe, like, tall grasses on either side of
mhm,
them. She's on her horse, and how is he holding her? How is she looking at her son? How is she feeling? Like, how is it, like, bright daylight with like, the hot sun beating down on them, with sweat dripping down their face, intermingled with their tears, like, really imagining and putting yourself in the scene so that you know and feel kind of what's going through these characters and doing your best to convey it.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's very interesting how you just mentioned, that you are indeed a parent, and that scene, really does touch home. Because I've had a lot of readers who have read Decimus, and they themselves do agree that it is, an incredible action-driven story with fantasy, but at its core, it's like a family-driven story because here you have, Decimus, who is now a single parent. He's raising his son on his own. He
Mhm.
does have the help of his friends and his colleagues, but it is, very, very different feeling. And this is a slight spoiler, but he does, handle his grief with, these herbs, which are, what's the word I'm thinking of? They're called wolf oysters in the book, but that could also be interpreted as someone struggling with addiction. And it's a very, very powerful, very, very moving story of how far will you go to, protect the ones you love and save the ones you love. So that was a really, really good one. Now, for this next read, we're going to do something a little bit different. Now, this scene is actually where Decimus meets the goddess of the underworld, the goddess of revenge. Now, Hel, have you ever played a character who has been like ethereal or like a goddess in some way?
Yeah, yeah. And so I have like a voice in mind, but I want to get understanding. She's the goddess of revenge. How do you envision her sounding? Like angry all the time, or like a kind of quiet rage, or yeah, just how do you envision her sounding?
Absolutely. So she is very much like she's quiet rage. She's not like a very vengeful individual, but she does not, well, let me phrase it. She's a vengeful individual, but she's not vengeful to the person who has died. She always wants to see that person, get their justice. If that person was betrayed or given a wrong, then she imbues them with the spirit of vengeance. In a way, Decimus becomes my interpretation of the Ghost Rider. But instead of riding a motorcycle, he rides a giant white wolf.
That's badass.
Yes. So I am actually going to, if I can actually remember where that chapter is, because there's like 64 chapters that I wrote in this book, which is crazy and insane.
And so what
Let's
is the context? Like, is she an ally to Decimus? Is she an antagonist?
So she is kind of almost like a guardian in a way. You
Okay.
see her pop up, but you don't know, where she is. She doesn't try to get too much involved in the realm of
Mm,
the living, but she is, definitely on the side of, justice, of righteousness, and everything like that. So this character was something that I really, really enjoyed. And my goodness, I keep forgetting how long. Okay, finally,
Needless
64
to say,
chapters, and I found on chapter 28.
Zach.
Okay, so she also has a dog character as well, which you can also voice
A dog
too.
character?
Which, well, let me just see if the dog has, because I know the dog does speak, but I don't know if it's okay. So it's not this chapter that
Okay,
the
okay.
dog speaks, but uh definitely he does speak down the road.
Got it.
And then Lupo, yeah. All right, perfect. So, and all these little hiccups, I'm all gonna edit out in the thing, so it's gonna
No
be
worries.
nice, seamless. Okay. So, the context for this scene fully: Decimus and his allies, they were betrayed.
Mhm,
They were ambushed. They
mhm,
were attacked. Decimus escapes. He then takes a vial to like give him strength, but it's almost like a drug that like knocks him out.
mhm.
It's in this world of limbo, and this
Okay,
is where he meets uh Ultio, the goddess of retribution, the goddess of
okay,
revenge. She's
okay.
also known as Lyra or Lyra,
Okay.
depending on your pronunciation. And yeah, so this character is a very good thing that I love. This chapter is probably one of my favorites to have written. So Now let us
Yay.
dive in. So share. So you will be starting first.
Okay, I'm waiting for it to load. Give me a moment. Okay, got it. I wondered when you would return.
A familiar voice echoed through the shadows. Decimus jolted awake, heart racing, drenched in cold sweat. As he looked around, he realized he was in a villa filled with trinkets that pulled at the strings of his past, each piece whispering stories long forgotten. Where am I? He rasped, pushing himself off the bed.
You are far from Elysium, if that's what you seek.
The woman replied, her voice smooth yet tinged with an otherworldly edge. He poured a cup of water and offered it to him, her dark cloak veiling much of her face. Decimus accepted the cup, taking deep gulps as confusion wrapped his thoughts. Am I dead? He ventured, fear creeping into his voice.
If you were dead, you'd be standing before Pluto at the gates of Tartarus. This is merely an intervention, Decimus Aquila.
She explained, her tone steady. You know my name, he
I've
stuttered,
Go ahead.
surprise etched on his features.
I've been watching you for quite some time. You haven't exactly been on your best behavior.
She chuckled softly, peeling back her cloak. Striking red curls cascaded around a sharp, menacing face, while her hazel eyes glimmered with an unsettling intensity. Tribal markings above and below her left eye spoke of a heritage intertwined with pain and lost honor. Though her presence was formidable, she raised a hand reassuringly.
Fear not.
Who are you? He asked, struggling to maintain his composure.
I am known by many names. Lyre, the Watcher, but you might know me as Ultio.
She said, the name hitting him like a thunderclap. Ultio? The goddess of revenge? Decimus stammered. This was a deity revered and feared, often called alongside Mars, the god of war. She commanded respect, demanded it even. You're the woman with the wolf, Decimus managed, a shimmer of understanding sparking within him. Ultio's smile widened as an unexpected presence stirred the air.
Indeed, but you are not alone just yet.
An unfamiliar voice chimed in. Decimus turned sharply, his heart racing as a striking black wolf stepped from the shadows. Its silver eyes locked onto his. The creature approached Ultio and settled by her feet, exuding an aura of age-old wisdom.
This is Lupo, my eternal companion.
She explained, noticing the confusion still contorted on Decimus's face.
You have no idea what's happening, do you?
She pressed, tilting her head slightly. What do you mean? He blurted, panic welling. Ultio stepped closer, her hands gently resting on his temples. She closed her eyes and began to chant in a language that felt ancient and heavy. Bluish gray smoke seeped from her into his mind, initially painful but quickly transforming into an overwhelming tide that threatened to drown him. Stop! He gasped, but his voice swallowed his plea as his vision faded to a blinding white, replaced by a frenzy of images, faces, places, moments rushing through him like a chaotic storm. At first they seemed foreign, but then he caught glimpses of his past, intertwined with strangers. When Utio finally withdrew her hands, Decimus gasped, breathless and bewildered by an avalanche of memories.
It is done.
She proclaimed, I remember everything, he whispered. the weight of reconciliation crashing down like a wave.
And what do you remember?
Lupo asked, his voice deep and resonant. That I'm not supposed to be here, he said, despair breaking through his voice as he buried his face in his hands. Memories of his comrades, the mages, the unforgiving battles, and Kairos' haunting words clawed at his heart.
Yes. And in doing so, you brought about the end of your world.
Ultiel said, her tone unwavering, but tinged with understanding. My family, he wept, remorse twisting his gut.
I know.
She said softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. She had borne witness to his anguish, that she was not a goddess of mercy. She was one of vengeance, and that fact loomed large.
So, what do you plan to do now?
She asked, her eyes penetrating. Decimus turned from her to Lupo, the gravity of his actions washing over him. A part of him craved to flee, to hide from the storm of consequences he had wrought. But retreat was the path of others. He was a Roman soldier, forged for action, clenching his fists, determination igniting within him. I'm done picking petals. I'm going for the head, he declared, his voice rising with newfound conviction.
Then you've chosen the path of righteous revenge?
Ultiel questioned, an amused glint in her eyes. I seek justice, but I'm ready to settle for revenge, he affirmed, the resolve resonating in his words. Ultiel's smile blossomed, promising a chance to right his wrongs.
To advance in your quest, seek the ancient city of Alba Longa. There lies a treasure guarded by the she-wolf of Rome, mother to Romulus and Remus. Along your journey, you will find an unlikely ally whose fate is intertwined with yours.
She instructed, her voice steady and confident. Momentous, he confirmed, the name flickering to life in his mind.
Exactly.
She replied.
His return reshaped this world, yours included, but he's transformed it to something more. You will recognize him when you meet him.
In that moment, the door of the villa swung open, inviting him into the unknown. Rising, Decimus ventured toward the threshold, but Ultiel's voice resonated behind him, rich with wisdom. What will I discover in Alba Longa? He asked, hope and trepidation intertwining.
If you prove yourself worthy,
She said.
You'll find the key to victory in your war.
Gratitude surged within him as he turned toward the exit, feeling the weight of destiny beckoning him forward.
Just one final thing, Decimus.
Ultiel urged, a fire igniting in her gaze.
Leave behind the Roman you once were. Embrace the true man you were destined to become.
With that profound revelation resonating deep within him, Decimus stepped through the door, disappearing into the ether as if he'd never been. Lupo turned to his master, curiosity swirling within him. Did she truly believe Decimus would emerge triumphant this time?
I have unwavering faith, Lupo.
She replied, her voice steady and sure.
This is not the same Decimus who faced the horrors of Cannae. No, this is Decimus Reborn, the man who has dared to confront gods and dragons alike.
And scene. Whoo! That was good. That was really, really good.
Sorry, I can only go solo for Lupo. I was like, I can't go. I don't know how to go lower right now.
No, that was perfect. And I actually kind of like that the voice was the same. It kind of gives the impression that they're of the same mind, but it's like in two different bodies. I love that.
She's cool. She seems really cool.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Now that kind of leads into the next question. Now, as you narrators, you play a wide range of characters that have like different voices, who are sometimes humans, sometimes
Mhm.
aliens, uh, sometimes not even beings of this existence. So,
Mhm.
how do you find the right voice for being like Ultio? Because you just nailed it again. Like your voice playing Flavia to Ultio, it's very, very different and distinct.
Oh, thank you. I love playing around with character voices personally. It's a lot of fun. One of my favorite things to share is like the very first book I had like 10 plus characters, which was quite a stretch for my very first book. Just having to think of different character voices, and some of them are masculine, and there's only so much lower I can go. I have physical limitations for my range. There's only so much lower I can go. So how do I create distinct male character voices? And a lot of it is obviously not just in the pitch of the voice, but in the character and the vibe and the pace and the whatever it is, just like really making them feel distinct in other ways aside from just the tone and pitch of the voice. But then after that the first book, this is the dark fantasy series, the Eldritch Depth series by S.M. Campbell. The first book had 10 plus characters. The second book had 20 plus characters. The third book had 30 plus characters. So I had to really get creative quickly to expand my repertoire, expand the range, which is what pushed me to learning more and more accents because again, I have physical limitation in pitch. I can only go so high, I can only go so low. I can play around with pacing, I can play around with a general vibe. Like if I have an asshole character, he's gonna sound like an asshole throughout, unless there's
Right.
like something unique about him or whatever. I can play around with that, but then there comes a point with 30 plus characters, you're gonna run out. And so that's where I pick up British, I pick up like there were some pirate characters, so I pick up like pirate accents, or Irish. And by in doing that and gaining enough proficiency in those accents, now I've doubled or tripled my my previous range to more. Um, and also, it depends on the book and it depends on the character, but you can do fun things. Like there's a whole species of character in this dark fantasy where they're all kind of like they're called oceanids or oceanids, where they're all fish people creatures or fish like or mer people, but more fish like than just mermaids or mermen. And like the entire time, I have kind of like this constriction in the back of
Mhm.
my throat, like to like kind of differentiate like this is this species and the rest are humans. But, being able to play around with those character voices with the authors and getting their collaborating with them on it is a ton of fun for me.
Nice. Very, very nice. Now, Hel, here's my next question. Have you ever done a romance narration or like a romantasy?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Now, the reason why I asked this is because the next book we're going to read is Amyntas, Son of Persia, which
Okay.
is the predecessor to Decimus, the Wolf of Rome. And there's
Okay.
one chapter or section of a chapter in particular that everyone has stated and has said to me, this is the scene that I should, expand upon for my own historical romance.
Ooh, okay.
And I wasn't trying to make this into like a very, very mushy scene, but apparently a lot of people love this scene. They absolutely loved it. So I'm actually
Ooh,
going to find the section of it. So it's not going to be the full chapter.
okay.
So it is going to be right here. So I'll give you context for this scene.
Perfect.
So Amyntas, Son of Persia is a spin-off of The Gathering. And
Okay.
Amyntas is one of the main characters from The Gathering in his own story. He goes on his own odyssey. He becomes the bodyguard of the Prince of Persia. He goes on various battles, various quests. He gets sold into slavery. He comes back. He reunites with his family, but he also reunites with a girl that he's known growing up, Anahita. She's a huntress. She's a Persian that's lived along the outskirts of of Greece, I should say Sparta in particular. And ultimately, she has always had a crush on him. He's
Okay.
never been one to showcase his feelings, so he's kind of
Uh-huh.
rough around the edges.
Uh-huh.
So when voicing Anahita, she's delicate, but she's not like porcelain.
Okay.
She is
Feminine,
very,
but like she's got some grit.
yes, absolutely. And everyone has said this
Okay.
scene is like the proof that like, oh, I should do historical romance. It's like that's not the genre that I write in. But and case in point, Sophia, when she narrated
Yeah.
this for fun, she messaged me afterwards with tears in her eyes saying, why did you say you cannot write romance? This is so good.
Maybe something worth venturing in.
So you'll see what I mean. You'll see what
Yeah.
I mean by Anahita. So yeah, they're around the same age. They're like mid-20s ish. So she's a huntress. So again, she's has some grit to her, but she's very, very feminine, very, very beautiful. So if I had to give a character like in Vision, have you seen like the show like Camelot or Clash of the or what was it? What was it? Clash of the Titans or something along those? Yeah, Clash of the Titans, the queen or the princess.
Hold on, I'm Googling. Queen Cassiopeia?
Queen,
No,
no, maybe not her, the
princess.
princess. Yeah, she's almost like I imagine like her in a way, or
Okay.
just any character like that.
Okay. So feminine knows her kind of understand where she is and her place in society, but has an inner strength to her.
Absolutely, and she does not. She knows what she wants. She very much cares for not Decimus, but Amentis.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, okay, like you can tell that she's been attracted to him for a very, very
Got
long
it.
time. And
Got it.
he's that character who's finally realizing his feelings.
He's a bit dense. He's catching on though.
Yes. So now let us dive into the realm of Son of Persia.
Okay. Let's see.
So all good?
Yes.
All right. Tomorrow we march to war. Amentis announced, his voice steady and resolute. As the group descended the mountain, he felt a pull to speak privately with Anahita. He discreetly led her to a quiet spot near the cliff's edge, where the breathtaking view of Sparta and the sprawling valley below surrounded them.
What's on your mind, Amintas?
She inquired, sensing the weight in his tone. He took her hands gently and looked deep into her eyes. Anahita, the road ahead offers only two destinations, glory or death. As a boy, I dreamed of a noble death in battle. But now I crave a life filled with purpose, he confessed, revealing a vulnerability she had never seen before. Her gaze flickered, surprise flooding her expression.
What do you mean?
They say in an hour of conversation, you can uncover the essence of a person. Just look at me. His eyes bore into hers. My time away has left scars, and I know my absence has brought you pain. When we reunited outside the temple, I saw the hurt etched on your face, despite your efforts to mask it. Tears cascaded down her cheeks as she nodded, the memories surfacing painfully. Clearing her throat, she spoke softly.
I mourned for you, Amintas. When I heard you had died, it shattered my heart into pieces. I tried to move on for those 6 long years, and for a while, I did. Then I saw you alive outside the temple. It was pure joy mingled with anger and hurt. It wasn't your fault, but letting my guard down was a struggle.
And she wiped away her tears. A cherished memory emerged, bringing a bittersweet smile to her lips.
Do you remember the day I first arrived in Sparta?
His face lit up with recognition. How could I forget? It was 3 years after the Battle of Marathon, when tensions were still high, and the air was thick with amenity. She playfully nudged him, laughter bubbling between them.
My family had just set up shop outside the city. I ventured out to gather supplies, drawn in by the beauty of Sparta and its vibrant culture, blissfully unaware that 5 Spartan boys were tailing me.
I remember them. Those arrogant little brats, he chuckled, eyes sparkling at the memory. I was returning from the mountains and spotted you. At first, I thought the boys might be up for a fair fight, but I quickly realized what would happen next. The fight with the bear had only just concluded in my mind, and I charged at them without hesitation. Anahita erupted in laughter.
My hero, the little bear. After that encounter, I had this dream that you and I.
A dream I've shared too, he interrupted, his voice barely above a whisper. And now it feels within our grasp. I refuse to let it slip away.
Amintus.
She breathed, her heart racing. Anahita, will you be my wife? He asked, hope ringing in his voice. Stunned, she froze for a heartbeat, disbelief washing over her. Then, without hesitation, she wrapped her arms around him, the floodgates of emotions opening wide.
Yes, my husband.
She whispered, her voice thick with joy as their hearts intertwined. They embraced tightly, leveraging the moment's warmth, their lips meeting in a soft kiss as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of brilliant orange and purple. And scene. Now you kind of see why a lot of people are pushing me to write historical romance. It's just for that set of paragraphs, not for anything else, just that set in the book.
It was great. It was great. I love, you created characters that, for such a short scene, you gave the characters enough depth for the readers to feel drawn and invested and, following along their story.
Yes, and the story of Anahita and Amintus is definitely probably one of my favorites when it comes to romance between characters. And I kind of look back at my own work. This is the only story that I can say that, there is like a love interest, like the hero gets the girl in the end. A lot of my other books don't really have that. So
Mhm.
this book really holds a very special place. Now, for, right there, narrating those kinds of scenes, Hel, I kind of get tying into emotion, but for those specific scenes where you are supposed to convey, that passion, that connection between, because in like dual narration where you're working with another narrator, or possibly in some cases you may be voicing both characters at the same scene. How do you still maintain and uphold the integrity and not have to get bogged down by the caricatures of like the romance and have it be like a theme or trope feeling, but it's like you can tell that these two characters genuinely have feelings for each other and they definitely love each other?
It's a bit trickier when you're working with another narrator and you don't get to, like, interact with them or talk to them, you know? There are obviously ways around that. Some people do synchronous recording. Sometimes what I like to do with some of my masked narrators is, see if they'll be willing to join me to, like, on a call, and they read out their part, and I get to play off of them, so we get to actually hear each other and play off each other in that way. But like you said, it's not always possible, and sometimes it's just all you. Um, and it's just yeah, it kinda goes back to, what does it feel like?
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, you don't want it to be a caricature of like, "Ah, I love you, and I love you too." It's not that's not a lot of I think one of my favorite things that I remember reading is we talk about when we think about so I come from a music background.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when we think about music and we think about narrating sometimes as well as just arts, where there's sound involved, you think about sound. when the notes are being played, what does the melody sound like? What does the chorus sound like? What are the words being spoken, et cetera, et cetera. And this is where I love in both cases that you get to play around with space as well. Space is as important and sometimes maybe even more important than the what's being said and what's being played, because it's the space that can create that intensity. This wasn't a proclamation, a loud proclamation of love, and although those scenes do matter and are used, this is an intimate moment between two people. It's just the two of them. They have no other distractions but the two of them, and being able to put myself in a space of, like, being able to look into my loved one's eyes and having that connection and being able to replay the connection, the intensity behind the love, all of the things left unsaid, but just we all try to convey in the small words of "I love you," like, all of those kind of small things that sometimes lies in the space as well as the words that are being said. So it's all kind of the same thing as I mentioned before, is with, trying to put myself in the space, recalling memories like that, imagining what the scene looks like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we're going to the realm of pure epic fantasy. Now, Hel,
Oh,
curious,
yeah.
what kind of roles have you played when it comes to fantasy? And what roles have you not yet played?
Oh, what describe fantasy?
So
Because like,
this is
'cause
like
I've done witches, I've
this
done,
is like epic fantasy. We're talking angels, we're talking demons, or gods, goddesses, mythical beings,
I've done eldritch
humans.
creatures, I've done gods, goddesses, I've done, because for the dark fantasies I'm part of, done witches, queens, knights, princesses. I haven't done I have done snippets of dragons. I haven't done angels. I may have done demon. I've probably done demon, but not quite angels. Um, and have you and like
Have you
other
played an
kind of
elf?
godly. Oh yeah, I have, but
Ooh.
that one wasn't epic fantasy. That one is a lit RPG.
Oh, well, that still counts as fantasy in a
Okay,
way.
yeah, I count it. I count it. I've played an elf. I've played an elf.
All right. So this one actually, there's a few good scenes in here
Uh-huh.
that I'm very, very intrigued to hear your own take on.
Okay,
And
so I
this
can have fun with
one,
it.
yes. Now, this scene in particular, this one was actually narrated by in the past a really good friend of ours, Daphne Winter.
Oh, so it's already been done.
She did a snippet of this,
Okay.
but now I want to hear your take on the full scene that she did. Not I won't say like a while ago, and this one in this scene, the main character Michael and his party, they're running through Germany and they get captured by elves. But not just any elves, these are my take on half elves. They're half elves, half angels. They are Nephilim. So you got elves that have 2 extra limbs. You have elves that may not look entirely like elves. They may be taller, they may be shorter. They are an anomaly. And they're
Okay.
led by King Hagwin, also known as Hannibal Half Elf. So his mother was an elf, his father was an angel, and he very much does not like Michael, because Michael kind of murdered like a whole bunch of his people, and a lot of them who were Nephilim children, because in Michael's eyes at the time, they were abominations. And Michael has also had some trauma. He was abducted as a child, as an angel, tortured for many, many years, rescued. So he has no love for half angels or Nephilim, even though he himself is a Nephilim, but in the other definition where he just lost his honor.
Mm.
Hannibal is a true definition of a Nephilim because he's half angel.
Okay, okay, okay. Interesting.
Yes. So in this scene, you'll be playing. We'll be playing off some characters. So
Okay.
I'll be playing Michael,
Mhm.
as well as, let's see who's else. So we have Michael. We have Barjan. There's Column. There is Margaret. That is the character that Daphne played not too long ago. And then, of course, we also have some characters swinging throughout. So we have possibly Horace, possibly Ben Hilder, and Rusla. And then we also have Hannibal as well, which I will also let you showcase as well. Now, even though Hannibal is a male character, because since he is an elf, I'm gonna let you have fun with how you take this character. And he is, again, very much has his own issues with Michael and everything.
Hit me. Okay.
All right.
I'm like generally like, how did it get how's my like lower range, man? It's been a while.
Yes. So, and you can also be as light as well. So, however you want to approach it, however you want to approach Hannibal.
Okay, let's have fun with it.
All right.
So I'm Margaret, Hannibal, and the witch.
So, okay, so we have Margaret, Hannibal, and I think, yeah, because I'm also looking back, I believe Column's in this, but I think Column only has a few lines. Oh, Horace is also in here as well. So, we'll just see how it is. But yeah, we'll just have fun with it.
Okay. When you pause as well, I come in.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now let us begin. All right, just let me know when you can see it.
Okay.
All right.
Is it?
Well, this is quite a mess you got us in, Barjan, Column shouted, pacing furiously in his cell. Each of them been given separate compartments, which seemed fitting since they were all fuming at Barjan. Meanwhile, the angel shared his cell with Margaret. Why on earth did you say all that? We were in the clear. Everything was finally falling into place for this cursed quest, Horace yelled. Fiona gently banged her head against the stone wall, while Colin sprawled out on the floor, and Rusla sat quietly in her corner. Van Hilder, on the contrary, hummed a little tune to herself, each lost in their own worlds. Barton, however, was still consumed by his anger. I swear I'm gonna kill that half-elf back.
Enough!
Margaret interjected, surprising Barjan with her intensity. What? He retorted.
I said enough. I'm tired of your endless ranting. I can't take it anymore.
Margaret's outburst drew attention of the others, and they shifted their focus to the escalating argument between her and Barjan. Margaret, you weren't there. This happened thousands of years ago before you were born. I had a duty to carry out. I was ordered.
Ordered?
Margaret interrupted again, her voice rising.
Ordered to kill Nephilim, who were only guilty of being born? They're not to blame for their father's sins.
You weren't there, he shouted, his voice growing more heated.
But you were. Why can't you move on? Why do you harbor such hatred? Answer me!
She shot back. I don't owe you any answers, he spat.
Oh, yes, you do. You owe me.
Margaret insisted. Excuse me? He asked, taken aback. I owe you?
Ever since that night 4 years ago, I never wanted you dead for what you did to my family and the others. But I won't pretend it didn't cross my mind. Yet I held back, hoping to see you change over those dreadful years. But if you can't tell me the truth now, then you're not the man Ambrose believed you to be. You're nothing more than a butcher.
Her words echoed harshly, filling the hall. Barjan stood, stunned. Margaret's boldness and her call for the truth left him momentarily speechless. Even the others were drawn into the weight of her speech. Damn, remembered Fiona and Colum. A silence filled the cell after Margaret's final words. Taking a moment to collect herself, she pressed Barjan once more for an answer. He had bowed his head to the floor, but Margaret caught the glimmering glimmer of tears streaming from his reddened eyes. He lifted his gaze, his voice weak and trembling. I can't forgive them for taking everything from me, he admitted, defeated.
What do you mean?
She asked gently. When I was born, I was entrusted to the care of two guardian angels who instilled in me the values of honor, duty, and the protection of humanity. When I was ready to start my training, the Civil War had begun. My parents and the rest of the Guardians fought fiercely against the united forces of Nathaniel, Lucifer's Nephilim, and Lilith's demonic army. At first, it felt like we were fighting a losing battle, and many Guardians made the ultimate sacrifice in the process. One fateful day, a group of young angels and I were snatched from our outpost and taken down to Earth. Barjan pauses, bringing forth more painful memories. They kept us locked in a cage, treating us like animals, leading us as barely enough to survive. Yet during that dark time, I found my closest friends, Raphael, Uriel, and Gabriel. We made a pact that if we ever escaped, we would seek justice not just for ourselves, but for all those who had lost their lives. For nearly 3 long years, we waited in silence until one day, Lord Metatron and Azrael, the angel of death, came to our rescue. They brought us back home and cared for our wounds. While our bodies healed, our spirits still bore the scars. Understanding that we needed proper training to take our revenge, we volunteered to join the Archangel Corps, where we earned our place. The righteous training broke even the toughest angels, but we were already shattered. For 5 grueling years, we pushed our bodies to their limits, embarking on missions that others wouldn't dare to take on. Ultimately, our hard work paid off. We earned our wings and were recognized as archangels. After being bestowed with the title of warrior angel, I gained the authority to command the armies of heaven. With this new status, I approached the Heavenly Council to advocate for a purge of the Nephilim dwelling on Earth. Initially, they were hesitant, but they soon recognized that the Nephilim posed a significant threat to humanity. They understood that if left unchecked, their presence could disrupt the balance of power. Ultimately, the Council's approval, we put our plans into motion. We enacted the Great Purge.
What exactly was the Great Purge?
Margaret inquired. While my fellow angels and I were exploring the Teutoburg forest, we stumbled upon the Nephilim encampment and decisively eliminated all but 2 of them. The survivors were forced to confess what had happened to their European allies, bringing back their comrades' heads as proof. After that encounter, no Nephilim were left alive on Earth, and those who might have survived were left to carry the tale of heaven's wrath. This act earned me the title of Archangel Michael, the Angel of War, Barjan concluded. An uneasy silence fell over the dungeon. No one knew what to say next. Any lingering anonymity toward Barjan had either dissipated or been settled. Minutes had passed before someone finally broke the quiet. The Holy Fire Crusade. That was you, Horace asked. Yes, Barjan replied. I heard about that back in Egypt. Your reputation as the Angel of War struck fear across the globe, Horace said, acknowledging the gravity of Barjan's reputation. It served its purpose, Barjan said softly. At that moment, Margaret decided to speak.
What about Hannibal's father? What became of him?
She inquired. He was the first victim, I claimed. He was the one who captured us during the early days of the rebellion. When we met at Teutoburg, I caught him by surprise, and when he was at my mercy, I plunged my weapon to his heart. With its death, the Nephilim quickly scattered, but as I mentioned, our fight was far from over. Barjan exhaled deeply after sharing such a heavy memory. It wasn't easy to reveal, but it was necessary. Now that the truth hung in the air, everyone seemed at a loss for words.
I can understand your hatred for what the former Watcher did, but can you still judge their children the same way? After all, no one chooses their parents.
Margaret said. Her words hung heavily on Barjan's conscience. Should he harbor hatred for Hannibal and the others? Did they even know what their parents had wrought? Just then the sound of a clang on the cell door jolted him from his thoughts. An archer stood there.
The king wishes to speak with you alone.
The elf said. Barjan stood and followed the archer, expecting to return to the throne room. However, they ventured elsewhere. After navigating through the city, they arrived at their destination, a small church resembling a Gothic cathedral, reminiscent of those once scattered across Western Europe.
He's waiting for you inside.
The elf said. Barjan pushed open the heavy oak doors and found a figure kneeling before a modest altar. Entering cautiously, he marveled at the murals adorned the church interior, depicting the birds of the first Nephilim, their struggles, and the aftermath of the Great Purge. The images captured the horrors they endured in vivid detail. As he stepped further in, he noticed Hannibal wasn't clad in armor. Instead, he wore an elegant elvish suit. Barjan struggled to catch the king's words. They sounded like a prayer.
Amen.
Hannibal whispered, finally turning to face Barjan. You wanted to see me? Barjan asked.
Yes, indeed. Please have a seat.
Hannibal replied. Barjan sat next to the king, but something felt off. Just moments ago, Hannibal wanted him dead. Yet now, he seemed almost serene. They sat in silence amid the church's simplicity.
Is it true?
Hannibal asked suddenly. What? Barjan stammered.
What you said in the dungeon. Is it true?
Hannibal pressed again. How did you...
When your mother is a wood elf, you inherit certain traits.
Hannibal replied. Barjan closed his eyes and exhaled slowly. Yes, it's all true, he finally admitted. He braced himself for Hannibal's wrath. But to his surprise, nothing happened. Then Hannibal spoke again.
I suppose this is the moment I either forgive you or kill you.
He mused. Have you made your choice? Barjan inquired, noting Hannibal's grip on a knife at his belt.
Honestly, I don't think I can do either.
Hannibal said, his voice betraying inner turmoil.
There's still a part of me that is incredibly angry, and that anger will always exist. But no, you're not the one who deserves to die. I can see that.
Hannibal turned to meet Barjan's gaze, locking eyes as they faced the weight of their shared history.
Everything that has transpired between us.
Barjan raised a hand to interrupt. There's no need for explanations. Not to me. Not for that, Barjan said firmly. I do not regret what I had to do for the council, and I never will. However, the choice of your existence, that of others, should have been yours to make. I took that choice from you, Barjan acknowledged. They sat together in silence, each finding a measure of understanding. Hannibal summoned his head archer into the church and issued a simple command.
Release the prisoners. Return their belongings and arrange transport to Rome.
The head archer bowed and quickly departed to carry out the order. Thank you, Hannibal, Barjan said.
One last thing, Michael.
Hannibal began.
And the truth this time.
Barjan anticipated this moment. Taking a deep breath, began his tale. I'm sure you're aware of our predicament, he said. Earning a nod from Hannibal, Barjan recounted his tale in exile in Ireland, discussing the Ravagers' assault on the village and referring to Ambrose's journal. The name sparked recognition in the young half-elf.
I've heard of Ambrose. My agent spoke of a man who once roamed these woods, searching for something.
Hannibal replied. But he was doing more than just searching. He was documenting, Barjan clarified.
Documenting what?
Hannibal pressed. Us. He was hunting for others like us. Angels, demigods, mythical creatures, epic heroes. He needed to know how many of us were still alive and hiding, Barjan explained, leaving Hannibal even more puzzled.
Are you saying that in that journal you carry, he found references to a Valkyrie shield maiden, a gargoyle, and even the Prince of Egypt?
Hannibal questioned, astonished. Barjan nodded in response.
Why was he searching for us? And how does this tie into your journey to Rome?
Hannibal inquired. Barjan hesitated for a moment, glancing back at the altar before continuing. Do you know the story of Azrael? And scene. Oh, that was so good. That was really, really good. And I also like how you made Margaret British. I really appreciated that. You do a really good British accent, I'm not going to lie.
Thank you. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
But it's really, really good. And this actually kind of leads into another question, which I find really interesting. What are sort of like your thoughts on, like, in this case, female narrators playing male characters in some cases? Because you playing Hannibal, that was really good. That was a
Thank
really, really
you.
good. Like, I love how you added like gravitas to the character, even though it was still your voice. It wasn't like your other voices. Which I also want to say this too. Now, for all the stories that we've narrated thus far, each character you have played has been very different and distinct. Flavia, Ultio, Anahita, Margaret, and of course Hannibal have been distinctly different. And I really, really like that.
Like I said, I have a lot of fun with character voices. Uh, it's obviously with, playing mass characters as a woman, again, I have only so much I can do with my range. I can't go as low as I want to. I can't sound like a man, not truly. Um, but there are techniques and there are ways to try to embody that. Because, like, personality, how a person is or how a character is, their behaviors, their values, who they are as a person can still be conveyed even though you can't get their voice quite down right, exactly right. Um, you can still display emotion and stuff like that, but when it comes to mask and I feel like for male narrators, the same challenges apply to when they voice femme characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do you utilize your voice to to voice the opposite a character of the opposite sex and doing enough for them to for the audience or for the listeners to know, like, oh, this is aside from it, it saying he said, how to for them to know, like, this is a different character. And every narrator is different. Every narrator is different. I like to play around with character voices, and for me, there's kind of two things that I engage my body a bit differently. Obviously, I try to drop the pitch, but there comes a point where if I drop the pitch and just the pitch, it doesn't sound actually good. Much like if a mask narrator were to just go high pitch like this to voice female characters, it doesn't sound good, you know? It's not a very good representation of a femme
Right.
character. So one of the techniques I do is, or I use is something about you, or something that's interesting about my mic and a lot of mics is that the closer you are to it, the more it can actually pick up lower frequencies, which is obviously not surprisingly, men tend to have more lower frequencies activated when they speak versus women who have a higher
Mm-hmm.
pitch in their voice. So by just getting closer to the mic, you kind of hear more resonance behind it.
Right.
And so utilizing that to add more to the resonance of the masked character's voice, that and what I do as well is, yeah, adding a little bit of that kind of roughness, the growl, not growl, but I call it vocal fry. But adding a little bit of roughness, texture to the voice, and like one thing I do is like I engage my core too, to again get more of that resonance out. Because a thin sounding mask voice doesn't sound as good, in my opinion.
Right. Absolutely. Well, you did an incredible job. And there's one more section before we go into the last one to wrap up this incredible. And this one I think you'll like. Now, have you voiced any knights in any of the stories you've been a part of?
Knights. I feel like I have. Let me think. I have voiced. I don't know if they're knight like. They're knight-like. They're not knights, but they're knight-like in the sense that like they are. So in the dark fantasy book by S.M. Campbell, The Eldritch Depths, they have a group called the Deep Wardens, where they are the protectors, and they're like almost like paladins if you think about them. But they're not always good. Not all of them are good, but they are like paladins where they maintain order in the world for those who are above and below the waters. For humans and for less oceanids, but more for humans. Like they keep order for the world. So they're knightly in the sense of they're physically strong, melee like adept characters. And they're fucking badasses, but they're not knights.
Alrighty, alrighty. Well, this one I think you will definitely appreciate. So this is from a later chapter where we're now actually in the Vatican. So
Ooh.
context for this scene, for the world building, the Vatican is the last bastion of humanity in Last Angel of Earth in the first book. So we are introduced to the Pope George, who is trying to get an alliance with the Knights of the Hospital. They exist in this reality. They come from Malta, and ultimately they're trying to secure an alliance for soldiers to protect. Now, everything's going good until the other group comes in, the Teutonics, led by Catherine von Hardenberg, who is very, very gruff. She is sassy. She is very assertive, arrogant. She does not care about anything about, the church in a sense, but she only cares about the interests of the Teutonic Order. So I want you to have like that kind of sense with this character. Hell, this is a person who has fought very hard. She is a good person, but she's going about what she believes to be good in her own way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she is there. And the love between the Hospitallers and the Teutonics, yeah, they do not like each other. They actively despise each other.
Got it. So I'm gonna be mean.
Yes, absolutely. So I will begin with playing the Pope George.
Okay.
So, and I'll also be playing, I think there's also another character, a male character as well, which is Lawrence as well. Lawrence, he's from Malta, so I'm not going to try to do a Maltese accent. I am not trying to do that.
We know our limits.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay, I see it.
Okay, so let's see if I can actually. Okay, I'm actually going to start right here with Your Holiness. Okay. Your Holiness, the Knights Hospitalis have defended the faith and its people for countless centuries. Now more than ever, the Vatican needs the Knights' assistance, Lawrence declares. The Pope nods, signaling that the meeting is about to commence. Today's agenda focuses on a potential treaty between the Vatican and the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, known as the Knights of Malta. This compact, revised numerous times, will enable the Knights to send much-needed aid to the Vatican. At the same time, the Vatican in turn authorizes the Knights to establish a robust presence in the city and bestows upon them the title of Defenders of the Faith. As the Pope and his inner circle review the treaty, he says, "Your proposal is both fair and just, Lawrence. I look forward to our partnership." Just when everything seems to be going smoothly, a loud, booming voice erupts from the outside chamber. The commotion grows before the doors burst open, revealing more armored knights from a different order. Eudonius leaps from his chair, reprimanding the intruding knights for their unsolicited entry. The lead knight says nothing as he strides towards the Pope. The knight's armor contrasts sharply with Lawrence. They wear an enclosed helmet, decorated with wings, steel spalders, and a set of pollen. The bulk of their gear is crafted from materials repurposed from past battles, some even taken from the weapons of their greatest foes. prioritizing function over form. Their armor occasionally features ornate elements. Unlike the Hospitaler's sword, this knight wields a formidable bardiche, a polearm with an impressive long blade for its axe head, providing a versatile array of offensive capabilities with its sharp edge, piercing tip, and heavy pommel. This knight presents an intimidating figure, drawing glares from the others seated at the table. The Pope, bewildered, seeks to understand who this knight is. Who are you to barge in here unannounced? The Pope demands. The knight removes her helmet, revealing her con- conne- countenance to everyone. With chestnut hair braided to the side, she exudes a wild yet regal essence, while her deep red velvet eyes convey wisdom and determination. A birthmark under her right eye serves as a reminder of her sacrifices made for her cause. Like her fellow knights, she possesses a tall and imposing stature, her strong athletic frame making a considerable impression. As she takes a seat at a nearby table, Lawrence casts a venomous glance. What business brings you here, Catherine? He hisses. Catherine von Hardenberg, hailing from a noble lineage steeped in tradition of the Teutonic Order, displayed exceptional combat skills from a young age, coupled with fierce loyalty. Training as a knight, she quickly ascended the ranks, earning recognition for her strategic acumen and unwavering commitment to her cause. Despite numerous obstacles and betrayals, Catherine remained dedicated to defending the Teutonic Order and upholding its principles, ultimately attaining the rank of Grokbanur, deputy of the Grand Master.
I'm just gonna say, I don't have a German accent in me.
That's
FYI.
fine. That is completely fine.
I've gotta practice that one. I'm learning it, but it's not there yet. The same thing as you, Hospitaller. But I'm taking the initiative and bringing my men here instead of waiting for a treaty.
She responds, her heavy German accent underscoring her words. The storied rivalry between the Hospitallers and the Teutonic Knights is legendary. Both orders sought to fill the void left by the now defunct Templars following their downfall in the 14th century. Yet neither could measure up to their legacy, fading into obscurity over time. In the aftermath of the events a decade ago, both the Teutonics and Hospitallers returned to their military roots, albeit with differing philosophies. While the Knights of Malta maintained their presence on the small island, the Teutonic Knights embarked on a military crusade to reclaim their former territories from dark forces. After numerous battles and countless losses, they successfully reestablished their state, eager to announce to the world who they were. However, many surviving locals view them as mercenaries enforcing a police state, and their presence in Rome aims to reshape that narrative. With a snap of her fingers, the remainder of the Teutonic contingent enters, their metal boots echoing throughout the chamber as they formed a small circle around the table. This display of force unsettles the Pope. Regaining his composure, he asserts control over the situation. Why have you come? He inquires. Catherine reaches into her pouch, retrieving a scroll sealed with the emblem of the Teutonic Grand Master. Handing the scroll to the Pope, he removes the wax seal and unfurls the document. The writing is too small for Pope George to decipher, prompting him to pass it to the younger Swiss attendant. The Swiss brings the letter closer to his face, studying its contents intently. After he reaches the final line, he crumbles the scroll and tosses it into a fire. How dare you! Shouted the Swiss guard, fury flashing in his eyes. Judonius steps in to calm the young soldier, but his efforts fall flat with no discernible effort. You want us to pay you for protection? He yelled once more. The Pope, his advisors, and even the Hospitaller representatives stared in disbelief at this shocking proposal. Yet the deputy merely shrugged her shoulders.
It's a reasonable offer, Your Holiness. All we ask is a small fee, and you can put your worries about the army of darkness behind you,
she said with a smirk. Lawrence slammed his fist on the table, his eyes blazing with fury. Have you no decency, no sense? Where is your honor? He shouted. In response, Catherine turned her head slightly and let out a soft chuckle.
Let's be honest. No one ever got rich from honor.
She shot back. And you would know that better than anyone, mercenary, Lawrence snapped. Catherine leapt from the table, hand instinctively reaching for a weapon. The men behind her followed suit, and soon the Hospitallers had drawn their swords, ready for a fight. To prevent further bloodshed, Constanza blew a loud whistle and summoned the Swiss guard. Within minutes, 20 armed soldiers filled the room. As the atmosphere shifted dramatically, Pope George let out a soft sigh and rested his head on his palm. It was shaping up to be a long day. And we're actually going to jump down a little bit more because I do want to give you some more lines for Catherine. So I'm actually still in the same one. So I'm actually going to shift down to right about here. So right here. So we're going to begin with you, Hel, right here.
Bastard!
Catherine yelled, pulling out her weapon. Horace and the others raised their weapons as the rest of the Teutonics followed suit. Catherine aims her blade straight at Barjan, who tilts his head slightly in response. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't go down that road, Barjan remarked.
We should just execute him now,
barked Catherine. You don't call the shots here, knight, Judonius declared.
Didn't you hear what he said? He's the root of all our problems. We can't afford his kind. What we need is faith, religion, and righteous warriors to win this battle. Humans must triumph in this war, not them.
She shouted furiously. As the men began to advance, Barjan's laughter rang out. But this laughter was different. There was a darker, sinister undertone to it, reminiscent of Lumberg's unsettling laugh. It froze the soldiers in place.
What's so funny?
She demanded. Barjan moved closer, his fingers gliding across the tip of her polearm in a mockingly delicate dance. All this talk about religion gets me thinking. I don't place a value on it. Throughout history, I've witnessed the madness of fanatics from every faith proclaiming their twisted desires as the will of God. The Inquisitions, the Reconquista, and the Crusades were all justified in the name of the Creator. But they served only personal agendas, not His. In those chaotic times, I have seen far too many murderers cloaked in the guise of holiness. Fanatics who call themselves holy warriors like priests, like the Templars, the Hospitallers, the Teutonic Knights, and every other militant order that sprang from this insanity. Barjan pauses to gather his thoughts, then resumes in a somber tone. True holiness lies in taking the right actions and showing courage for those who cannot defend themselves. The goodness that the Creator seeks resides within our mind and our hearts. Above all, it's determined by the choices we make every day to be good people. His words resonate deeply in the room, causing the knights to step back, hanging their heads in shame. Catherine among them. Even a few deacons and cardinals lower their gazes. The Pope massages the sides of his head, visibly unsettled. That was quite a moving speech, Barjan, the Pope finally replies. Thank you, Your Holiness, Barjan responds. After a moment, the Pope clears his throat. You and your companions are welcome to make yourselves at home in the city, but please allow us a day to reflect on what has been discussed. Tomorrow, I will hear your request, the Pope assures him. Thank you, Your Excellency, Barjan replies. And scene. I gotta say, I love how you approach Catherine. Catherine is exactly how I imagine she would be. Exactly how I imagine it.
Yay! I use her voice in a lot of other books. She's a fun, gruff, rough, gritty kind of character. I have fun with her.
Awesome. And now, as we wrap up this very, very, very special episode, we're going to do one last read, but this is now going to be the epilogue of The Gathering. And this time, you're going to play a character who's going to be making their debut in a future book.
Ooh.
And you are going to play a dragon.
Oh, okay.
So I'll give you the idea. This is Jazar. He is the father of dragons. Now, he's not like your typical fire drake, Hel. This dragon is based off mythology. He is described as a dragon that could eat the moon and other planets in one gulp. He is that big. He is that massive. He's that imposing. In a way you could think of it, imagine him almost like a character like Thanos or Darkseid. He is the ultimate bad guy. He is truly evil and darkness incarnated. He is someone you do not want to mess with.
Got it. Got it. Okay,
So
so
I
he knows he's powerful and he's a big
yes,
baddie.
yes. So I need you to be the most evil person you could be when voicing this character.
Okay. Okay. Let's go.
Alrighty. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the final read from The Gathering. We will begin with you.
Okay, it's loading. Okay. Who dares approach?
The voice rumbled, timber echoing off the weathered stone, wrapping the space in an air of formidable authority. It is I, Father, Garston replied, bowing deeply in deference to the imposing figure that occupied the sinister, ornate throne at the distant end of the chamber. The throne itself, carved intricately from black stone and adorned with the bones of long forgotten foes, exude a sense of dread.
Garston, you returned from your mission. I trust it bore fruit.
Inquired King Jazad, the regal dragon whose fierce, angular features betrayed a mix of pride and concern as his keen gaze locked onto his son. His wings, with the tattered edges, draped heavily against the back of his throne, adding to his intimidating presence. Not entirely, Father. The King of Nairon still draws breath. I was injured during the confrontation and compelled by honor to uphold a life debt, Garston confessed, his heart heavy with a tumult of disappointment and unspoken regret. The king's expression darkened, a storm brewing in his fiery amber eyes. But Garston felt a flicker of resolve ignite within him. He knew that knowledge could shift the fragile balance of power. However, I achieved another goal, one that has weighed heavily on your shoulders for far too long, he continued, his voice unwavering despite the tension thickening the air around them.
Oh, speak then.
Jazar commanded, his interest visibly piqued, leaning forward with an unsettling grace that showcased his massive form, a hulking silhouette against the dimly lit chamber. Lord Kairos is dead, Garston declared, an unwelcome thrill coursing through him as the words hung heavy in the oppressive silence. From the depths of the shadows, the atmosphere shifted, now charged with an anticipation laden with dark magic as the king's massive nostrils flared, exhaling a potent mixture of curiosity and underlying menace.
Are you certain of this?
Jazar probed, his fiery eyes narrowing into slits, scrutinizing Garston with a predatory intensity that sent a shiver down the young wyvern's spine. In response, Garston deftly produced a wand and a glimmering red moonstone, each remnant of a hidden encounter rife with peril and treachery. Long, curved claws emerged from the pestilent darkness, snatching the relics from his grasp with a serpentine grace that left little room for doubt. Just then a sinister chuckle reverberated hauntingly through the air, echoing the chamber's sense of foreboding, a sense that seemed to wrap around Garston like a cloak.
Your revelation brings me great joy, my son. If only I could have ended his existence myself.
Jazar mused, a twisted delight dancing in his voice, the shadows deepening as he spoke. Fate
Fate.
has granted
Sorry. Go.
Fate has granted you another opportunity. The humans have imprisoned Kairos within that very stone. He now belongs to you. As Garson stole a fleeting glimpse of his father's broad, toothy grin emerging from the enveloping shadows, its menace was palpable and suffocating.
Exceptional work, my son. As a reward for your undisputed endeavors today, I confer upon you the esteemed honor of leading our forces in the forthcoming conquests. But now, if you would be so kind, I have an old acquaintance to confer with.
Garson's heart swelled with pride, warmth flooding his veins like molten gold as he bowed deeply, stepping away with a burgeoning sense of purpose and renewed ambition that cut through the gloom. Once Garston withdrew, the might of King Zazar emerged from the darkness, his eyes shimmering with malevolence as he held the moonstone aloft, allowing its crimson glow to bathe his scales in an eerie light. With the keen sight vested upon him through ages of ancestral wisdom, he peered into the gem, penetrating its glassy surface to glimpse the spirit imprisoned within, an echo of the formidable Lord Kairos. Another sinister chuckle escaped his lips, embodying a chilling delight as he addressed the stone, the very air thickening with raw, foreboding power.
Greetings, Lord Kairos. It seems we have much to discuss.
And scene. Brilliant, Hel. Absolutely brilliant. You definitely, once I get to the other works in this universe, I'm definitely going, you know what? This is now going to get me more motivation to write the prequel to The Gathering, Warriors of the Moon. And once I do get somehow saving up to do audiobooks, you're definitely going to play some of the dragon characters who are all different dragons from different mythologies. You got Chinese dragons, Japanese dragons,
Ooh.
European dragons,
Mm-hmm.
and other figures as well. And I think there is one character that you will definitely like, and he is Jafar, the oldest son. And he is based off of a Harry Potter dragon, the Norwegian Ridgeback.
Ah,
Yes.
very cool.
Absolutely. So, as we wrap up this fun little collaboration effort, one final question for you about, that scene. What is sort of like your word of wisdom to like narrators who like play animal type characters, like dragons or
Mm.
maybe werewolves, maybe even vampires? What will be like your advice to them of how to best approach those characters?
Ultimately, the art direction, if you have access to it as a narrator, is gonna come from the author, whatever they want it to sound like. The ones that I have spoken to that the snippets I've done where I get to do dragons, what I often hear about dragons is like, sometimes it's snake-like. Because if you think about like, the Eastern or the Asian kind of dragons, you get like Nagas, where they're more snake-like and um in their body, but generally they're lizards, or they're lizard-like, let me say. So, I say have fun with it. I say, because like, part of my process in doing any audiobooks when I'm working with indie authors specifically, is I get a list of all the different characters, and I take a guess, and as I prep it, I take a guess of what I think the characters are gonna sound like, and then I meet with the indie authors to say, "Hey, these are my thoughts for all these characters that you wanted distinct voices. Do you like them? Do you not?" We go through every single voice that I've pre-recorded, and they say yay or nay, and if it's nay, then we workshop it real time. But, this part of the prep is for the authors to give us as much detail as possible as to what they envision these characters sounding like. So, for authors, there's no such thing as too much information. For narrators, take in that information and really try to embody it to the best of your abilities. I think there are certain tropes like, werewolves, you want them to be more growly and gravelly. For vampires, you want it to be, like, smooth and, like, seductive, let's say. There may be certain tropes, but ultimately it's down to the author's decision and what their preferences are. And yeah, just have fun with it. Play around. There are, if you think about it, there are already preconceived assumptions as to what certain characters or things or beings will sound like just because of how they're portrayed and how what you hear in media. For example, if you think of like a if a character description is a bubbly as a bubbly girl, that's 10 years a bubbly 10-year-old girl. You're not gonna have her sound like me. Like, I don't
Right.
sound like a 10-year-old girl. You have this, like, this high pitch, like, happy-go-lucky, like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to see what you do," kind of, like, active voice. So you usually when you kind of think about it, you a lot of people tend to have already preconceived notions of what certain things will sound like, so just play off of that.
Absolutely. Well said, Hel. Well said. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude this very special collaborative cold read here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. Want to give a huge thank you to Hel for coming back on the show and being a part of this. And if you're an author looking to have a narrator narrate your books, look no further than Hel. She is an incredible person. And if you'd like to know more about Hel and her journey into the world of audiobook narration, I will also tag her first interview here on the show. And if you'd like to see her back for a third time for another special episode, either a more in-depth background into her narrating books, or maybe a very special episode with her and an author she has worked with in the
Ooh,
past to talk more about the production of the book, characters, or more, you know what you have to do. Like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hel, thank you so much for coming
thank
back on the
you.
show. Absolutely appreciate it. Where can people find you on social media if they want to reach out and connect? And do you have any upcoming audiobook productions that are out or will be out in the near future?
Absolutely. So if you want to find me, I'm most available on Instagram. I got rid of all my other ones. So you can find me on Instagram under Voice of Hel. You can also check me out on voiceofhel.com, and that's HEL with one L. So that's the ways to get a hold of me. As far as projects, I did have a recent release with my friend Carmen Chantel. It's a sapphic fantasy vampire piratey book. It's a little novella, and it's a ton of fun by Raven Belasco. I believe it's, if I remember correctly, that lesbian vampire story. That lesbian vampire pirate story. It's such a fun novella. But that one was recently released. In addition, something to look out for is Grimm, a wolf shifter romance that I'm doing with Sean Chaucy by Vera Fox. No Excuses with Will Rose or Zach Rosenfeld by Andrea Janelle, and Wishing You Well This Christmas by LM Juniper, and that one's also the sapphic cozy fantasy. Yeah, by LM Juniper. So few things, fun things coming out, but also you can find me if you want to watch our nerdy and dirty podcast, Punch and Roll. Come check out Punch and Roll show. That's also on the social media. You can watch me play Victoria Lee, where we're playing the Monster Hearts game. Our game is called Rapture Hearts. We're a bunch of college students that didn't get raptured, but we're also monsters. So how do we like navigate this new world, and how do we handle the rapture or things post rapture and going on? So that's a lot of fun too. Come watch us.
Nice, very nice. I will link all that down below in the description of this video. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here. A huge thank you to my friend Hel for coming back on the show. And if you like these special cold reads here on the channel and you'd like to see other narrators on the show, either one that have been featured on the channel or other narrators you think will be good for the show, also the same thing. Like, comment, and subscribe, and share as well. Most importantly, share. I want to share all of the achievements of all the narrators now more than ever, because as one final thing I want to say, viewers and listeners, Hel is going to be narrating some projects of mine, which will be part of an anthology series that I am working on. It's a very, very special project. I don't want to give any more, but once it's finished, and it will be finished, you may see a narrator roundtable in the near future. So be on the lookout for that. Till next time, This has been the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill signing out. Wishing you all a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. We'll see you all next time.